Okay, the second part of the evening belongs to, what can I say about, well, I'll say it. I think from the point of view of poetry as a lyrical state of soul, there isn't anybody in this society that writes as lyrically beautifully as Neeli Cherkovski. He can write virtually about anything. His subjects come to him in great flurries. He's like the center of a human verbal collage that continually is going. I did have an opportunity in back of one of his books, Leaning Against Time, to say some words, and I'd like to just read them. There's perhaps no poet more inventive at writing from the outside in than Neeli Cherkovski. And once again, he takes us on a tour du monde that covers all the bases in order to reveal the whole affirming diamond that poetry itself is. This is one of his books, Leaning Against Time. This is From the Canyon Outward, and another one, From the Middle Woods. They're all here for your attainment afterwards. He's going to read, I understand, not so much poems from these books, but these books are incredibly readable and beautiful. Please welcome Neeli Cherkovski. You're welcome.
Oh, that's Jack's words. You wrote that.
Right, I mean, of course.
That's why you didn't say the name. You know those back cover things, I just did one. I mean, really, you just have to really extend yourself. Okay, so I'm going to decide right now where I'm going to start. Several months ago, with several people in this room, I was at a festival in Austria, in Hall, outside of Innsbruck, the Sprachsalz Festival, where they used to make salt, right? And went on down to Italy and had the opportunity to stay in Liguria, which is not quite part of Tuscany, but it is. And the person who loaned me the house, his mother's house, definitely would not say it's part of Tuscany. They're very proud of their own region. Am I pronouncing it right, Jack? Liguria?
Liguria.
Liguria. See what I mean? And we stayed in this town of Bagnone. We got lost on the way there, my partner and I said Bagnone, and no one knew what I was talking about. You know, like if you say Gouge Street instead of Golf. You know, no matter how many times you'd say it, you wouldn't get it. So we came to Paul's mother's house. An interesting thing to me, Paul Evangelisti, the poet, was born in North Beach over the Coit Liquor on the third floor. That was his home, first years of his life, and his Italian immigrant family sent him to a French school, so French was really his first language. He moved to Los Angeles many years ago and I stayed in LA. At any rate, I went to his house and got to stay there, this old family home. It's called Funny Old House. I'm using 18-point type, so it does not as much as you think. We're in a funny old house of 3 rooms on 3 floors. Life is a flood. Life is a sentence. Life is what you wring from words. Light is where you go to get out of the darkness. In spite of us, the fumes rise and convert us to glowing orbs of fire. We adore the house. It is really serious once you caress the walls and shut a few windows. The first floor is a kitchen with propane stove. Every morning I brew strong espresso and read between the lines crosswise. My thoughts are settling on a garden in paradise. On the second floor, a bedroom, and on the third floor, a more substantial room with bath. We go up and down all day unless we're driving to Pisa. I am unable to focus. The trouble is in getting trapped, confused, short-circuited. No end in sight is the end of this. It is to the kitchen I go. Here in the cold room, a compact refrigerator, it buzzes, a cigar burns, thunder graces sky, and it rains. The door is open. Every drop of rain has its own awareness. Happy am I to put an outspread palm into the deluge. The propane is precise. Whatever I cook sizzles or boils with no problem. The blue flames are wise and meditative. To you who jot a tune in a red notebook with spiral binding, I wish to explain how lovely it is to sleep on the edge of a bed in the Tuscan hills, awake. What manner of sadness. The bees are splendid. They serve tea on the terrace. A medieval tower sticks its neck in nearby Bagnone town. In a drawer you sock our socks, 2 pair, and old manuscripts of writing nicely printed on 20-pound white paper. Blue facades trimmed in white, and white trimmed blue is all I see walking the hills of smoke, and ochre nodding to a woman who passes every morning as if from the earth below her feet. Venice, for Anna Lombardo. I shall find you changed again, sweet, moving mile of silent evening, sparkling until dawn reaches shore, to make the lagoons spring into pure, naked, beautiful prisms with India ink and a blotter, fulsome eyes, prop desire, Adam and Eve caught in Sheba's jaw. The brushes are fiery animals. Flee. Nowhere as beautiful as water eating stone. Nothing quite alive as the astonished light of a Titian moon in the Accademia. Pay to enter. Gold cymbals clacking, tambourine held aloft, clanging wild, tired of beauty, yet the artworks toward beatitude. The sleeping God is dead. The devout are terrified if you see them in old leather volumes, frigid tiles and pale, handsome boys like beanstalks on the quay, quiet, shivering movie stars no brighter than a beaming dog, unseeable to the unaided eye. We do not know if Mallarmé said anything, knew anyone, held court on a leaf-strewn decade. We know Igor Stravinsky came here in death and was taken to the island of the dead, and that the poet Ezra Pound captured some of the rhythms in narrow passageways. We know where our friends survive and how the reeds breathe. We understand the celebration, a mirror and triplicate, a hand flowing through the shallows, and the pillars are fist full of marble flowers, immense, flowing, expressive contours of night. And then Verona, which is an absolutely beautiful city. And our friend Laura Zanetti took me to, at Laura's house, by the way. Laura has 2 homes I've been in, and every room there's either a photo of Jack Hirschman here or Lawrence Ferlinghetti. It's quite amazing. And if you weren't in any other house in Italy, you'd think, hey, these guys own the store, you know. And she even has a house on a mountain. Neeli, this is my mountain. Neeli, Jesse, this is my mountain. And she took us up the mountain to a woman about 80 years old with 12 cows that are like this high at the shoulder. She makes the milk and makes the cheese. And she fed us a meal that is described in Goethe's Italian Journeys. And it was polenta with cheese and spinach, and she may have cooked, for all I know, for Goethe, but she was amazing. It was over a wood stove, by the way. And in the winter, she explained, she used to take the cows down on her own on foot, but now a truck comes and takes them down. And I love her to death, and she had 3 beautiful black shepherd dogs, which really sealed the deal. So Verona for Laura Zanetti. Twisted miracle, petals, streak of purple ruminating on a yellow background as the godmother and godfather enter into the palace of simple pebbles. Twist vehement heroes, power to stammen and oil from the rose. Canker of machinations born in the mind of an earth child come from the road of a beast. Storm after the storm, and having seen thought, the very picture of thinking as more than process, the idea of holding on to an existence so clean, so clear. He has a resemblance to the idea of thought. His eyes, deep blue eyes, I need to find myself if only because it was not Verona or the Roman Bridge, not the Museum or the Hebraica, not the tall German boys looking for Juliet's balcony. And so we turn the pages of an illuminated book, the running word and those that are stationary, a semblance of justice and truth, to the Roman street, and from there to footpaths of fairyland, and further still to Never Never Land on purpose, and make our way to primitive science, intricate tendrils, spines on the bush, thorn of the rose, aching for a mark by a man, painful mark, line in the sand, a continuing war, a battering ram of crap, ecstatic animal, longing magician in a wick on a shelf of the gods who lived in such proximity to wet dawn soil devoured by child wind and hard noonday frost. Just leave forgiveness to others. We won't be bothered by it, but stick to the rules of the road. Crafty pre-dawn scattered on a highway surrounded by medieval memories, snagged on a fantasy. Antonin Artaud at Guantanamo Bay. Oh, Antonin Artaud, thou, I. A bright silence haunts the cobblestone streets under a reign of terror that splits the seed in half and rocks the breeze along the river Seine. Oh, mute majestic, mute mouse in the bowl. The oboe has legs and rules the pit. On the dais, our conductor tells a story with his wily fingers. He sketches music from the lives of our fathers. He stretches out on a bed of fire. Oh, trap these tickles in a stream of wine on a night filled with to the max. Stump the Bay Bridge for good faith and surrender to the grand escape. Oh, Artaud, you invented the French language in post-war Europe. Gide is dying. Sartre chain smokes into a death chamber of battered ears. We all lived to love the foxy Rambo as a youth and failed to see him at a corner table spitting blood. We do not hear the gestures of hungry poets or the hissing of espresso or the bad luck of absinthe or the sweet bitter life of wine. Go, go, go find Shakespeare on a dime, stuck in a kitchen baking bread. Go break a mirror filled with ribbons and seconds to spare. Antonin, they have carted the lovers off to jail and slammed the door shut and have fried the rabbit. No one is in love. Bless this kingdom of sweet bloom. A pansy to the door. Block no lilac in your head. Slam nothing shut. Open every window. Slip a slice under the bars. So far, so good. So close to what love might have been. Such energy it takes to round the horn in a boat made of microphones. Oh, Antonin, No poet has ever died. No poet need fear the tide. No one need plan an escape. See how it is anyway. All day long we try until we fail.
Woo.
This poem I want to read a short poem by a poet named Eric Walker, who several of us knew very well. He showed up in North Beach and he read at the Spaghetti Factory reading series we had that Jack Mueller curated. And Mueller called me on the phone. He said, "There's a young man here you should meet." And I rushed down and I met him, and we were together for several months, and we did a lot of play acting on the street, you know, like Rambo and Verlaine and all that, and throwing things and all that. And it was great for him because an 18-year-old kid getting to sit with Philip Lamantia or Jack Hirschman or Lawrence Ferlinghetti or Bobby Kaufman and all those people was very beautiful, and he grew and he developed as a poet. This is called Helen, and then I'll read this poem and then maybe one later. So this is by Eric in a book called Helen that Tisa Walden published in Deep Forest. So you went and slipped into the mirror. You really did it. You finalized a project. My spirit is a piano. You see me running in place of your torn, dirty feet. Why did you jump it so heavy and hard? My eggshell honey, the sweet cream of my nightmare, the tasteless joke of your dead weight fixed in the air, in the small of a jettisoned flower, your face hit humming up a whole hive of bees, your damn mental body stuck in my mind, and your loving still twisted into my fingers, and the savagery of your eyes, brown and soft marble, echoing the dim mirror of my wandering life, hotel lips praising your existence in the foggy redwood air.
Wow.
So that's Eric. Orange jumpsuit for Tisa Walden. She said he's up in Eureka. He's in an orange jumpsuit behind bars. The days are yellow, the voice is blue, dark redwood tree grows obscure in a muddle. The unemployed phase out under a tough dab of light. People who stand in the rain of this northern kingdom turn into soggy cardboard cutouts. They sit with the local paper and chain smoke until the wind blows up. Eric wrote to Helen, meaning the Greek lady. He wove words on a loom, skilled and memorable poems. In session 17, Eric turns on his side. I put my beard into his nest and go for it. He recites Rambo while twisting wiry frame. The words are magic, drops of rain. Life is a tempest. Love is a device you wrap around distant hills. She was hysterical, Eric's mom. My youngest son, birds of the North Slope, swooping down to grieve for you. There is no end to the arabesque, no way to say it's over. This is called For Don Kingman. He was a watercolor artist, born in Hong Kong, moved to San Francisco, and he and my father and mother were pals at the Black Hat Cafe on Montgomery Street in North Beach from like 38 to 41, and then the Pearl Harbor came. And Kingman he did the sets for the Flower Drum Song and covers of Life, Fortune, Time, and became sort of commercial. But I know there's a great Burmese friend of mine, Ong Tek, who again many of us know. He grew up in Burma on Kingman's paintings, so he has a lot of currency in Asia. Yes, Dong, you are always a faded graph. You painted figures coming out of a fog bank on Montgomery Street. Ought to surprise no one. In the dirty air was Pearl Harbor. You were chased for being the enemy, but you were Hong Kong Chinese. Your pal picked up a block of wood and hit a guy over the head. Then you both ran down Hoteling Place. I kicked the shit out of him when he came up from around the corner. We were in the Lipo bar, Bobby Kaufman and me, in the Lipo, drinking. Drinking them down, Bobby lived with me. I'd make dinner every night and usually had to throw it into the garbage as Bobby died and fell into the bay. We said goodbye to him, ash by ash, from a box we held over his head, our little wind-up rebel saint with his Chinese mind, the black saint from New Orleans. And those elegant ladies who showed up just in time for so many more John F. Kennedy conspiracy theories. The sister of our poet who wrote, "Oh man, an inner basement core of me," as if there was only one jazz club, and as if this planet was Chinatown down an alley of blood and guts. The lights are low. There's Chinatown, and there's the angel. There's the ship of good luck, and a harbor filled with death. A Chinese testament, a hopeful world, a neon need to be real, not to be taken in, a need for the streets, a need for the ruckus to end. Little overt push for love, little cart for love, little light, beautiful rightness, terrific wisdom of the baker and butcher, terrific the arrogance of poetry, the vanity of a poet in the Chinese night. Bobby Kaufman's China poems, his disappearance during the Cultural Revolution, when the thing to do was to take a pair of scissors and cut up a poet's scroll, or a sledgehammer and send some ancient pottery to smithereens, or a wise grandmother to re-education camp in the far country midwinter like that. Everyone with balls had a chance in our world of lanterns and fireflies. Still the odes stand like monoliths. The Analects offer a route to order. The Tao keeps the mind free, and the I Ching advises. It's not always black and white, not forever north or south. Those anonymous men in the Lipo, leaping, drinking, matching one another, drunk for drink. It's not just Chinatown. It's a chime. Thank you. A little mess here. Let me see where is it? This is When the Crow and I Are Alone, and it's dedicated to Miriam Patchen. You know, the wife of the great Kenneth Patchen, not very much in currency today, partly because he was such a socially concerned poet. He was an absolute pacifist. He was a fighting pacifist. He fought with words. And he wrote that great anti-war novel, The Journal of Albion Moonlight, which should be on the required reading list with To Kill a Mockingbird and all those other books, but isn't. And Miriam showed up in North Beach and became a friend to all of us. And all of Kenneth's books for 35 years were dedicated to Miriam Patchen. When the crow and I are alone, life is much easier. He alights onto my shoulder and listens to the traffic as a crow must do in order to survive. He keeps a list of other birds on a tablet in his heart. I scream and the crow caws. I rage and the crow ruffles his feathers. A people must understand what is important in the life of a crow. Love is important, and thus I offer mine. A man and a crow, the crow in ceremonial song. Come along and speak to the bird. He has a hallway of his own. He loves the gold chain in his cage. He likes to come out and fly in his hall. One day he took me up to the sky. Out of my window we soared over the low fog, and the other crows gathered in flight, persistent. Look into the mind of this universe. Take your storage boxes and toss the souvenirs into the sky. Crow is not a god. Crow is not a medallion. The crow is not a charm. He will look for seed on my open palm. He will root on a branch of the cold tree. We sit around together. He wrote this poem in order to save himself. He looks for redemption. He says, Miriam, dear Miriam, so long ago, now you are a plant in the window, the great talons of this crow. I feel his power when sleep comes, rushing into the room. The dark is like his feather. I see the cruel white hand of night, and my forehead beaded in sweat. Be aware of the sound when the fog is moving. You know he rests alongside all the crows imaginable, and they are beautiful and primitive, just as we are, primal and dangerous, heading forever toward disaster. This is what the fire is for, not only for warmth. Here in the cold, it is possible to believe that one may die a better way, not suffer so much, make it easy to disappear. The crow comes into the room, he flies into the room, and I shut the window. Dear Miriam, there is a reason, and I have held it in hand. The crow is alive. I say the drums are going like mad when the crow and I are alone. Now, in fairness, that crow was my budgigar, Sunshine, and I think he'll forgive me because he knows that the crow is a symbol, but the bird and I were together for 13 years, and he was just an amazing bird. He flew out of the house and went 150 feet toward Cortlandt Avenue and South Slope of Bernal Hill, and I called him and he came back, and that was really something. So I'm going to read just a couple more, a little shorter. Lace work. Solemn are the lacquer figurines littering the plain. They gossip and fornicate. They eat the brains of small animals and ring a bell when the dead arrive. Then up we go, next to a priest weeping in the interior. Sea air roars yonder, burnt thoughts arise. The throat of the island resounds, where a lion's gate leading to the city, buried in mist and brought to life, through it beckons. Falling, enter worlds of earth, damp, elegant propositions born on the breeze. We're climbing to the nunnery, where they offer water from an aged cistern and hold out handmade handkerchiefs. The lacework is delicate, marvelous, and manageable. No other way to go. No way to deny that a palace of jade exists in the universe. No means of breaking beauty implicit in islands starved for trees. The nuns eat a hard and simple bread. They dine on lamb and goat. The priest delivers figs and tomatoes. Just a few drachmas to handle emergencies and enter the mysteries. Sunfire spins in the nun's hand. She accepts my coins, fine lace laid against my eyes. And then I gotta find the poem for Agneta. It's here. Isn't this awful? This is what I hate to see people doing. But you know, what can you do? You just live with it and go with it. And all that. So, it's part of the show. Good Lord. I don't know. It's here. What I'll do meanwhile is I'll read two more poems, and I hope I can find that in. But this is in a book of all things called Rhetoric Made Plain, 1974. It's a poem of mine I wrote in 1967, so it's an old poem. And now I'm finding poems, that were deliberately deliberately put away, hidden away, and they're rising out. Every Jew is a poet, Steiner said. And I told him, yes. I said, no denying essentially this fact. No denying in places like Bergen-Belsen the world's hope died, which is narrow but maybe true. The world's hope died when Auschwitz opened its gate. And Steiner said, every Jew a poet, and I said essentially, and Steiner and I sat there in the marketplace, and he said the world lost itself in the barracks of Treblinka, and I said, most definitely. And Steiner boasted, every Jew a poet, and I told him there's magic in that, magic in our people. And Steiner said, every Jew a poet, an artist, a creator. I said, yes, Steiner, and I said, no more clowns in Lublin, Steiner, no more children in Kiev, no more old ladies in Krakow. I said, Steiner, we have lost our magic and soon shall be dead. That's interesting because it was, I don't know who Steiner is, for one thing. And for another thing, Rambo had the hope that everybody would be a poet. I think everybody has the poetry in them. But of course, so many things exist to not reveal that, to keep it a secret. And meanwhile, I'm saying that so I can find this. This is ridiculous. It's like a thing. So what I may have to do, good, this is it. I will end with this, okay? So this is it. Enough. This is for my dear Agneta Falk, Jack's partner of many years, and it was so great traveling with her around the world. I was in Verona, and I felt so international, and so I was telling my friend Patrick this earlier. I felt like I used to read these Somerset mom novels where people are going all around the world and just assume they know each other. He doesn't explain why they know each other. They're in Vienna and they show up at a cafe and, the Throckmortons are over there, And you see movies like that, Rochelle and Stephen are with Bob and Frank, and the only problem I had is I was not able to wedge in one of my outrageous gay poems from the past, which are coming up. But Jack's encouraged that these are erotic poems. But this is some other kind of love for a friend and for Agneta. So the thing is, I was in Verona with Jesse. We come down to this festival, and we're staying with my friend Laura. And Aggie calls up and said, you must come to lunch at Anna's in Venice. And I go, wait, we're in Verona. Oh, for God's sake, get on the train. It's only 30 minutes. And so we got on the train, and we came, and at the station there was no Aggie. There was George, and who else was there, George? Huh? Anna and I, and George and Anna met us. And where's Aggie? Oh, she's at the cafe. And you find Aggie in San Francisco at the cafe and the front table. So we go for 45 minutes through the old Judaica, the original ghetto, down these one after another. It was, I love Venice, but God Almighty, the canal seemed to stretch on for hours. And finally we get to the little plaza and Campo, and there's Aggie at the table, thousands of miles away from home, sitting as if she was at the Trieste. It was wonderful. Of late, a sun walks over the hill and settles in. Bright light on yellow facades face the workroom. You're sitting in Swedish clear air whispers an elder song, so elderly it defies humanity. We must go, we need to jump, to choose. You sing in the native tongue. The sun trickles through and aligns with our wily wounds. I imagine you across town, another sun or a part of this one by your window looking out on the bay. You've made coffee already. You're smoking a cigarette. The nightingales are somewhere else. All storms are overseas. We are ever on the passage day by day. Thank you.